morning, conservatives. Kill the music. Today is January 15th, 2008, and I'd like to welcome you all to the Rush Limbaugh Talk Radio Show Audience Edition. Today, we will have a studio audience here to give the listeners the best possible experience. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, we very infrequently have guests, but today is one of those occasions, and Mr. William F. Buckley is here to talk about the changes and innovations made to conservatism.
Oh, thank you, Rush. I'd like to say hello to the audience. How's everyone doing out there? It's nice to be here. I'd like to start off the show by commenting that this type of show only promotes our cause to ensure that America remains the finest nation in the world.
Before we get into the conservative issues here, Bill, tell the listeners a little bit about who you are and where you come from.
Well, I was born into a large family, and I lived in Connecticut for the beginning of my life. I went to Yale University, and I majored in journalism. I promoted myself by founding the National Review in 1955, and soon I had a weekly talk show where I discussed current events and my conservative opinions on those issues. I became well known and respected by many famous politicians, including Ronald Reagan and Barry Goldwater.
As for myself, I was born in rural Missouri into a family of many conservatives. My father was the one who really got me into the conservative ideology and all those shenanigans. Well, I also became interested in radio, and my father and I was fired many times for making rude comments. I was then hired though, thanks to my good friend Norm Woodruff, to the KFDK Brass, and that led to my show that I have now on ABC National Radio. Now I'm heard on all national radio stations throughout the country, and but Bill, you're the star of the day. You're here to talk about the innovations and changes of conservatism, so get started.
Well, in the 1950s and 1960s, many conservatives did not hold too much power in the government, and as a result, conservatives did not have much of a voice to America. So in 1955, I founded the National Review in hope to promote conservatism and myself. Many of my beliefs were based on the ideas of less government spending, strong religious beliefs, and my support of lower taxes. And you know, these ideas caught on. I made a name for myself by voicing my opinions through the National Review. And you know, conservatism just became really big after that.
Wow, that's great stuff there, but I know you've done more than that. I know you've done more than that, or else I wouldn't be wasting my time with you today.
Well, my main contribution to conservatism involved me simply speaking my beliefs on issues that conservatives should and should not support. I did this through the show that I created in 1966 called Firing Line. On Firing Line, I interviewed many guests, which included great politicians and celebrities. There goes some liberals. Some of which include my buddy Ronald Reagan, Noam Chomsky, what a goofball, Muhammad Ali, and yeah, I even reached across the aisle, and I brought Jimmy Carter onto my show.
Jimmy Carter. Wow.
Firing Line quickly became a big hit, and it won an Emmy Award in 1969. I'd say that it definitely changed American conservatism for the better. You see, Rush, Firing Line inspired many to become conservatives, and led by myself and a group of conservative followers, I formed an organization known as the YAF.
The YAF, what does that stand for? The Youth Arching Federation?
No. The Young Americans for Freedom.
Oh, the Young Americans for Freedom. That's a great organization. Don't use some stupid liberal lingo to diminish the value of an organization like the Young Americans for Freedom.
Fine, if you insist. Well, the YAF, or I should say, the Young Americans for Freedom, inspired many to become conservative. During Barry Goldwater's presidential campaign, the YAF held a rally in which 18,500 people came to Madison Square Garden, showing their support for Goldwater and for the organization. Although Goldwater did not win and did not become president, he inspired many, including one of the greatest conservative presidents ever, Ronald Reagan.
Well, my favorite quality about the Young Americans for Freedom are their patriotic ways. They stood by our troops during the Vietnam War the entire time. Unlike so many other dumb liberals in this country who just complained and complained about the troops, they wouldn't even be alive if it weren't for these troops fighting that.
Well, Vietnam was a controversial time during our nation's history, but we YAF members always remained true to our America. Our biggest victory was when our longtime friend and advisor Ronald Reagan became president. He appointed many members from the YAF, and the YAF helped him against the radical left wing.
Well, I have influenced many conservatives to listen to me because of my strong opinions on capital punishment, abortion, and the myth of global warming. Times in this country are tough right now, which leaves people looking to the extremes for an answer. I think my strong and bold opinions appeal to many. This is reflected by my 20 million listeners a week. But Bill, so many high-ranking, highly respected conservatives have so much approbation for you, Bill. So,
well, yes,
that would be a reason.
Both of us have been very successful in our days, and I have to give a lot of credit to the YAF as they've done a great job in inspiring conservatives over the years. The beliefs of the YAF were stated by a member in that I quote, "We as young conservatives believe that foremost among the transcendent values is the individual's use of his God-given free will. That liberty is indivisible, and that political freedom cannot long exist without freedom itself."
Wow, it couldn't be any better stated than that, Bill. That's just how everyone should think. I don't know why so many people just can't think more practically like that. But people should listen to me, because I am always right. What I have to say is quite entertaining and amusing. And without me, this country would be way too liberal. I've probably got over 10,000 people to become conservative over the last 5-10 years or so. That is what I call giving back to this great nation. Anything I can do to make sure liberalism fails, that's a success.
Well, you know, the YAF were not as concerned with liberalism failing as they were with conservatism succeeding. In the 1960s, when tensions with the Soviet Union were high, the YAF and myself began a Stop Red Trade campaign, which prevented big companies like IBM from trading with the Soviets. Also, a big innovation is in 1974, I began a group known as the CPAC.
CPAC, I already told you about the lingo. Not tolerated on this show.
Well, the Conservative Political Action Committee, which is the CPAC, was the largest conservative gathering and is still growing after 36 years. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it's so, you've clearly done great things, Bill. Hopefully our listeners have gotten that. But I think that's all the time for today.
Well, one last word, Rush. I'd like to thank the audience. You guys have been great. Thank you, Rush. Thank you for having me on the show. And I'd like to remind the audience to vote for me, for Conservative this November.
It's a funny thing you say that, because I can see this election being like the Super Bowl, when the team you like isn't in it. When the team you like isn't in it, you root for the team you hate less. That'll probably be John McCain come this November. He's better than this Barack Hussein Obama. Be sure to tune in to the Rush Limbaugh radio show tomorrow. That's all.
Pero a mí, no,